The only loose end that must be addressed is Bereshit 38:26, when, upon discovering that he was the father of Tamar's child, on what basis did he reverse his demand that she be executed? Vayaka Yehuda Vayomer. Yehuda recognizes the three items, the staff, the belt, and the signet ring, as belonging to him, and says, Tzadka mimenu, she is righteous, the child is mine. The fact remains, though, that Tamar had brought the priesthood into disrespect by her actions. This was not a personal affront to Yehuda for him to overlook. This was an affront to the priesthood, and as such, why was Tamar spared the death penalty? To understand the vindication of Tamar, we will need to return to Bereshit 34, the incident involving the abduction and rape of Dinah. The response of Shimon Velevi was to massacre all the males who were living in the city of Shechem at the time, including Shechem and his father. We noted previously that when news of the massacre reached Yaakov, his response was, Achartem oti, my mind is now troubled, in that lahavisheni, your actions will now create an element of hostility myself, my family, and the inhabitants of the land. The massacre in of itself, the killing of somewhat innocent bystanders, seemed not to be of a concern to Yaakov. The Perek concludes with the response from Shimon and Levi to their father Yaakov, Vayamru, Ha kazona yaseh et achotenu. Should he, Shechem, be permitted to make our sister, treat our sister like a zonah? In other words, if there is to be no response, we, in effect, are condoning his actions, and in doing so, we are placing the label of zonah upon our sister. A response to which Yaakov must have agreed, in that the narrative does not provide us with any response from Yaakov to the justification, Hakazona ya'aseh achotenu. Rashi comments upon the words Hakazona, drawn from the Bereshit Rabbah, and writes Hefker. Translation of Hefker is wanton, that a zonah is one who is sexually lawless or unrestrained, loose. The terminology that they used in their response to Yaakov is somewhat interesting. Hakazona with a chaf prefix. The inclusion of the somewhat superfluous chaf is addressed in Midrashic literature. Clearly, Dinah was an innocent participant in the abduction. The response of Shimon and Levi to Yaakov's concerns was that if we remain silent, we are in effect, while not deeming Dinah as a zonah, she would be ka-zonah, deemed to have done things that would place her into and similar to a zonah. Similar terminology is used with respect to Tamar, whereby Yehuda was informed that Zanta Tamar Kalatecha, and that Hara Liznunim, and because she was a Bita Shel Shem, the child born into a priestly family, who had made herself available to one and all, had brought the priesthood into disrespect, and therefore Yehuda, as head of the household, decreed, Hotziyuha v'tesaref, she deserved to die. Tamar's response was, Li'ish asher ela lo anochi hara, the father of my child is the owner of these items that I now have in my possession. In effect, what she was saying was that I am not in the category of a zonah, one who makes him or herself hefker, but rather, Tamar claimed, my actions were focused upon having an intimate relationship and bearing a child from the owner of these items. Yehuda acknowledges his mistake, that he should have investigated the matter further before passing judgment, and with the words tzadaka mimeni, he accepts her defense, that her actions were not one of harlotry. She was justified in her actions on account of the fact that lo netatiha l'shela bani, I did not follow through with my commitment to allow her to marry my youngest son Shelah. And with this we can understand the decision of Yehuda to not proceed with his original demand that Tamar, his daughter-in-law, be executed on account of the fact that she had brought the priesthood into disrespect.